If you've always felt like you were responsible for other people's feelings in your life, then this probably started a long time ago. Probably started in childhood for you. Most people were not born as people pleasers. They usually develop this because they were kind of trained into it by the people that they grew up around or the environment they grew up in. Most people who are people pleasers as adults grew up in a household where there was emotional instability. You had a parent or guardian of some sort who was emotionally unstable. They would get really angry, or maybe they would withdraw their love. But whatever it was, you learned that in order to stay safe, you had to manage that person's emotions. You had to keep them happy at all costs because that thread of connection to them was totally dependent on that, or at least it felt that way. So what I see a lot with the people-pleasing tendencies is that these people were often as kids the golden child or the helper or the good kid. And that's because they've learned over time that in order to have connection with that primary caregiver, they need to be compliant. And that shows up in adulthood as these people-pleasing tendencies and often shows up in your own relationship as people-pleasing tendencies in the future too, because you are trying to do whatever you can to maintain that sense of connection. You feel like it will leave if you don't distort yourself to keep the other person happy or safe and avoid tension at all costs. So one thing that can be really helpful here is inner child work. And I know some people find inner child work to be a little bit woo-woo, but it can be really effective. So let me just show you what that can look like, okay? I want you to identify or try to picture the version of yourself where these first tendencies started to happen. Okay, maybe you're 4, 5, maybe you're 10. Just the earliest memory you can possibly find where you felt like you had to do something in order to keep your primary caregiver happy and maintain that connection. Notice where that part of you shows up today when your partner gets irritated or when you want to say no to them but end up not. Notice the feeling that you get in those moments. Do you feel tense? Do you feel small? Do you feel scared? Notice what that feels like. Notice that because that's often your younger self saying, please don't be mad at me, right? Then I want you to try to reparent yourself in real time. Think about what that earlier version of yourself needs to hear. Or if you have your own kids, imagine if your own kid was here and they were sad, scared, worried that you'd be mad at them, what you might say in order to comfort them. Maybe that's something like, hey, you don't need to fix this. Everything's okay. You're safe now. Those small moments of reparenting add up in the long term and help you eventually learn to heal from this over time. Good luck.